Welcome to Cedar Hill Country Market. Today I want to talk about opening up or creating an embroidery business. I know when I first started to want to do or add embroidery to my t-shirt business, I really didn't know a lot of information about embroidery. From my years of experience as a young girl, I used to go to my grandmother's farm during the summers, and she taught us how to hand embroidery. So in my mind, embroidery consisted of doing a lot of handwork. But obviously technology has sort of taken over that market over the 50 years that I've been alive, and now they have high-powered embroidery machines. When I started looking into the service, I was a little overwhelmed with the technology and what was capable of being available to people to run a business doing embroidery on a small scale. Because most of the embroidery shops over the last, say, 20 or 30 years have been just, the huge big machines that you see in warehouses where a lot of people are working as more of a factory type environment. So I did a lot of research online to find out what I could do to add embroidery to my t-shirt store, because I was getting requests for monograms and little small gifts, and I thought in my mind this would be a great ad. It would be a great avenue if you didn't want something screen printed or heat applied. You could really bring it up to a much higher level with using embroidery design. I looked into photo embroidery. I looked into just doing monograms only. I looked into, I actually opened up a baby store, and I did lots and lots and lots of baby items. And I learned a lot during that time, almost a good 3 solid years of developing, not only adding it to my t-shirt shop, but I also added and started up a baby website to do nothing but embroidery for babies. And what my advice is that there is not enough time in the day to have 3 simultaneous businesses going full blast with a very small staff. It is incredibly hard, and it's wearing on you physically and mentally. Technology demands that if you want to implement all of this great stuff into your business, that you sacrifice a lot of time to implement it, meaning social reach or being social with your business on, putting marketing together so that you can have the exposure where people will actually know that you have the service. So at that time in my life, I had a business, I had a silent partner, and I went out and I purchased a big, one of the biggest home embroidery machines you can buy, which was a 10 needle. And I think they have a 15 needle now. I'm not sure. I heard that they have one now, but I had a 10 needle baby lock, and I absolutely loved it. But what I learned was that there was no training for the machine other than just the initial setup. What I also loved about the machine was that it had a camera, so it would tell you where to start the design. You could see your fabric laid out. You could put markers on where to start the stitching, and a lot of the tabletop based don't have the option unless you want to spend the same amount of money. I think our 10 needle baby lock was around $18,000 brought home. And with that, obviously, you're going to have 10 needles, you're going to have at least 10 spools of thread, and you're starting a business, so you're looking at even more money with all the startup costs that you have, which is the thread, the stabilizer, the hoops, and we purchased a hat hoop that never did work. A lot of the home-based machines that you can buy, the hat equipment is just absolutely horrible. not easy to do any kind of large graphic on a hat. You would need to go to an industrial size embroidery machine to do that, and have that as a third party, upsell, something that you could add on. But I don't think it's really cost effective unless you're talking about hundreds of hats to do 1 or 2 hats on your website. So we pulled all the hat stuff out of our business, and we focused on doing only heat applied graphics to hats, because the majority of what we were getting requests were dark colored hats with white graphics. And I was in the Dallas, Texas market, so I had a constant flow of business, and I had to be competitive in the marketplace. People don't want to spend a very little bit of money because they're afraid of the quality. And if you're overpriced because you're a home business, then people would much rather go to the less expensive area. You got to really know who your competition is in the market, and you got to know what's available to your customers for them to compete, for you to compete for their business. So one of the things I had no idea about was all of the websites that you could buy designs from, and having pre-order designs, what that entails, taking that from a third-party website and implementing it into your website is extremely difficult, not easy. So on the flip side of that, I had to buy inventory of items, embroidery them, and then put them up on the website. And there's just a lot of variables in opening up an embroidery business. You got to remember that your designs are going to take anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes to get them set up and get them sewn out. So in an 8-hour day, if all you do is embroidery, you're not going to put out that much inventory. You're going to be working on a super small scale if you're just a one-person operation. You have to have the ability to transfer a design, making sure that your machine has the ability to take a file and move from your computer to your embroidery machine, or hook it up directly to your laptop with a UBS. That's super important, because there's no other way to get it from one machine to the other without having the connection. Excuse me. And knowing the limits of your equipment. Our biggest hoop size here is 11 by 6, and on my 10 needle I was able to go up to a 14-inch hoop, and I was able to do bigger graphics, which people love. The bigger graphics, they just don't like to pay the money for the price of getting those onto their jackets or blankets or whatever. All the different types of thread that you have to have. We mainly use poly here in our store. Polyester is great because it's sealed with heat. Once it's sealed with heat, it is virtually impossible to remove it in any kind of clean way. And we do that for the durability and the long lasting of our graphics. Having all the different types of materials to making sure that you're going to be able to function in your business. Stabilizers, hoops, spray adhesive, embroidery scissors. What you also need to know is if the machine makes a mistake or it jams up on you, which machines do, it's virtually impossible to rip the design out and begin again unless it's just started, or it's a small area, or there's variables. But it's very difficult to you would have to scrap the product and restart again. And if you're working on a shoestring budget, it's very difficult to do that. And all of these things are something that I wish there was a video out there explaining to me about embroidery businesses. We do some embroidery now. Mainly what I'm doing is I'm embroidering designs and I'm putting them up on the website. I don't offer custom embroidery just because you would have there's so much cost involved in time into developing a website to be able to create custom looks on the website. Meaning having a blanket and being able to implement a design to see how it would look on a blanket, etc. It's extremely expensive to do on a website. Being able to price your designs out, knowing how much time is on the machine, how much time is involved in setting up, how much time your materials cost you, and being able to translate that onto your website. I do a lot of competitive shopping. I do a lot of secret shopping. I'll order off of a website that's a competitor, and I'll look at what they're producing. I'll look at the quality. I'll look at the pricing. I'll look at the size of the image, and then that really helps me decide on how I want to compete. And we do that. I do that constantly. And you'll have to have money in order to do that type of thing, to really get your pricing fine-tuned, where you know that if you sit down with a blanket, you know that the price that you're charging is competitive in the marketplace, and it also covers your time. Super important. A lot of people told me in the beginning that you don't have to carry inventory. I have not figured out a way to have zero inventory of any items, and there's an enormous amount of what I call scrap. Starting an item, getting a vision about something, trying different things, and then having a pile of either hoodies or blankets or something like that that you're not going to use. You have to either scrap for quilting, or you have to donate it or write it off in some sort of way. It has to be, you absolutely, there will be no mistake-free business for you. You will make mistakes. Equipment does break down. It does happen, and you really should be ready for that in starting your business. I started my t-shirt business on $100, and I've had it since 2008. No, not 2008. I've had it since about 2009, 2010. I came up with the idea in 2008, and I spent a year researching it. So I've been in, you would call the garment or the merchandise business for many, many years. And I've learned a lot during that time, and obviously technology continues to change. You really want to have a website or some sort of social media to get your ideas out there, your products out there. You need to have a camera. You need to have a video camera. You need to be able to, if you can't build your own website, get a Spotify. Do an Etsy page or something like that. Those are great kickstarters to a business, but they're not sustainable. They will not last forever, and you'll get very tired of Etsy taking 50% of your profit. And that's probably an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like when you start to really look at the numbers. So selling on eBay, great idea, but your audience on eBay is going to be very different than your audience on Etsy, and you're very, very different from just your regular website that you want Google to push. Being number one on Google, pipe dream. Very few people get to have that status, and if they do get it, it's hard to maintain that status. Google wants you to be in love with all of their products. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of the products, they want to make sure that your website is absolutely interacting with customers, and that holds a security for the buyer. They want to make sure that you have an incredible reach for them to start promoting you. Labeling your products on your website, huge thing. Very important for you to do. Knowing how people search for them, having the correct tags and your meta tags, very important. But I wanted to use this first video to really talk about the guts of the business and really what it takes. Adding embroidery to my business was not cheap, not expensive. When we moved to Arkansas, I wasn't going to have access to a store that could maintain my machine, and I wasn't going to be able to do any kind of updates or have the supplies I needed for the machine readily available to me. So I decided to sell the machine instead of taking it here with me. And I moved to a smaller machine, and I'll do a review on this particular machine. I absolutely love it, and it does quilting, regular sewing, and embroidery. And I found this machine on eBay, brand new out of the box, and wasn't inexpensive. It was expensive, and but this will help do small projects and handle the workflow of the embroidery business that I do. So I hope getting ideas and listening to somebody who's been doing it for a while really helps somebody out there. You know, having the ambition to start a business like this takes somebody with some really, really good skill and quality. I mean, not quality, but it really takes somebody that's got an entrepreneur, a passion for the business, and a lot of heavy creativity, and somebody who's really tech savvy and very in tune with what's happening with trends. And I think to have my business to be even stronger, it's a constant battle to keep up with what is happening in the marketplace as far as what people are wanting, what people are buying, what's on the, what's trending. That you have an 8-hour day or 9-hour day to do your orders. It's very difficult to stop and say, okay, I'm going to take 2 days or a day to do nothing but research online. It's just absolutely not easy to do. And I think startups take time, just like creating a YouTube channel. I don't think they happen overnight. And I think that you just have to be persistent, consistent, and be willing to ebb and flow and change with, whatever the market brings. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it brought you some sort of knowledge about starting an embroidery business. And look around at what other embroidery businesses are doing. Make notes about what you like and what you don't like about their business, and things that you could do that would be better for your customers, that would differentiate you from them. So I'll see you next time, and thanks for joining us on Cedar Hill Country Market. Everybody have a blessed day.